Back for a rematch, Zuko sneered, tossing a bound Avatar aside. He fell into a snowbank with a yelp. Trust me, Zuko, water tribe girls lead into the stands. It's not going to be much of a match. Zuko forced himself to push away the clinging exhaustion with dread which always came from knowing he was outnumbered, not the first time and not the last, and squared himself for a duel. If he could defeat this girl again and retake the Avatar, that would be left the idiot Water Tribe boy and the 10-ton bison. If a white-haired girl was any type of princess, she could defend herself too. Well, Zuko would find a way to deal with her last. Winning his honor back was never meant to be easy. Zuko struck. Its blast of flame was hampered by the frozen night air. The girl batted it away easily with a spray of water. Then the ice rose under Zuko's feet, encasing him up to his neck before slamming him back down. His head hit hard-packed snow, and it was over. The world swam in and out of focus. He heard conversations that sounded as if they were happening right over his head and far, far away at the same time. What are you doing, Aang? We can't just leave him here. Sure we can, let's go. Someone grabbed under Zuko's arm and hauled him up. Zuko had enough presence of mind to snarl and jerk his arm back. He fell out of the grip and down to his knees. He groaned, holding his head as the world made dizzying loops around him. Zuko, we are trying to help, said a young voice. The Avatar. Help? How? By dragging him back to a city under siege. I won't be a war prisoner, he yelled. Or maybe tried to yell. Those words, too, were very far away, and some got mashed around in his mouth, as if his tongue were a step behind. The grip fell on him again, but he had enough presence of mind to lurch away from. Was that the Avatar? The Avatar was trying to capture him. The world stabilized enough to see the idiot Water Tribe boy nearby, holding onto a length of Zuko's best rope in a way that showed he meant to tie Zuko up with it. That was not going to happen. Zuko breathed a plume of fire, succeeding in getting both to back off. Somehow he made it back to his feet. Zuko, please, the Avatar said, painfully earnest, as if he wasn't being the unreasonable one. I have to go help the spirits of the ocean and the moon, but I can't just leave you here. Yes, we can, Water Tribe boy said. Look at him, he is fine. Zuko swayed lightly on his feet, but he was standing. And if he was standing, he could fight. Not that it would do him any good, he realized with bitter disappointment. He wasn't just outmatched. There was no way he could grab the Avatar now. Even if he could find a way to overpower him, he couldn't get him away from the others, not like this. Frustrated, the Avatar turned to a waterbender, Katara. Their eyes met, and Zuko saw cold practicality in her gaze. We will come back and collect him after the battle is over. That wasn't good enough for the Avatar. They started squabbling. Luca decided enough was enough. Turning, he staggered away. The little monk called his name again. His voice ripped away in the last of the storm winds. Luca fell into a heavy run, one hand pressed to his still sore ribs, the other to his aching head. Slowly the world slid back into full focus. At last he stopped, breathing hard, shook his head to clear out the last of the fuzziness and looked around. The full moon cast light almost as bright as day. He was in the middle of a field of bleak white blue ice, featureless and never-ending. Above, in the pitch-black sky, stars glittered as cold and clear as diamonds. The freak blizzard had abated, and with the landscape exposed to the chill air, he could practically feel the temperatures plummeting. His breath of fire would keep him warm for a time, but it ate calories and he was exhausted and injured. Worse, he had failed his mission yet again. He had the avatar within his grasp and had let him slip through his fingers. "I'm not going to give up," he said, and turned to walk slowly back in the direction he thought guessed was the Northern Water Tribe city. There was no sign of the avatar's bison. They had left him behind. But as long as Luca had breath in his body, he had a chance. Everything was on the line: his honor, his throne, his father's love. Luca walked, trying to use his breath of fire sparingly and ignoring the fact that it seemed less warming every time that he did. A calm part of him knew there was a very good chance he would not last until the next night. The Arctic days were just as cold as the nights at this latitude, and he shivered even under his superior Fire Nation jacket. He was in deep, deep trouble. "I'm a failure," he thought. "I have failed every single chance I have had. I'm a bad son." A tiny part of him, so faint it was not there at all, whispered that this wasn't his fault. This mission had been impossible from the beginning. But that rebellious flame was growing colder, squashed down by despair, by 3 long years of searching and failing. Suddenly, Luca's next step fell not upon ice and hard-packed snow, but solid rock. He stumbled to his knees and skinned his palms on dry brown stone. What? His next inhale of air was warm. He looked up to see himself in a place completely transported. The snowfields were gone. He was now on the edge of a rocky crater, and the full moon above was bathed in blood. Turning his eyes from the unsettling sight, he looked around. The landscape was barren, aside from 2 points of glowing blue light, one standing to the north, the other to the south. They seemed to be encased within thick domes, as if shielded from the rest of the world around them. A dead, gnarled tree stood in the middle. Everything about this world made the air on the back of his neck stand on end. It was not natural. Again, his eyes were pulled upward to the red moon. Uncle's stories came back to him. A blood moon spoke of warnings and dire shifts from within the spirit world. With dawning horror, Zuko realized he was not within the human world any longer. This was the spirit world, or at least a part of it. But people shouldn't just be able to stumble into the spirit world. The barriers were supposed to be strong, unless something happened to shift the balance. "What have you done, Avatar?" he muttered, knowing it was hypocritical. But the Avatar was supposed to keep things like this from happening. What good was he? Suddenly, the moon itself disappeared from the sky like a snuffed flame. Zuko was thrown into semi-darkness. The only lights came from the northern and southern lit domes. As indeed a scream split the air, Zuko felt it ringing like a chime within his own soul. A howl of agony, frustration, impotent rage and betrayal, and it came from the tree. Someone is trapped in there, he thought. He needs help. Hold on, he yelled, running toward it. Later he wasn't sure why or how he could be so sure, only that there was no doubt. "I'm coming." The scream went on and on, shearing into him. Skidding to a stop in front of the tree, Zuko did what he always did in the face of an obstacle. Blast through it. He punched bolts of flame as hot as he could make it against the trunk. The bark began to peel and char. "Hold on," Zuko yelled again. Gritting his teeth, he focused on his breathing to keep up a steady jet of flame. He was getting through. Then suddenly, true light flooded the landscape again. Zuko looked up to see that the moon had returned back to the sky, new and brilliant. As soon as the milky light touched the bark of the tree, it hardened. Suddenly, his fire was as ineffective as splashing light against a stone. Worse, it seemed to be going out. Panting, Zuko stepped back. The trunk was black and burned. He had only managed a thin crack in the bark, just wide enough to fit the tips of his fingers. He stepped back, breathing hard and wiping sweat from his eyes. The screaming had stopped. Maybe whoever wasn't there was dead. "I failed again," he said. "Not yet," replied the deep voice from deep, deep within the trunk. Then a thick dark ribbon shot out of a crack and wrapped itself around his waist. Zuko yelped and shot fire, or tried, but nothing sparked from his hands. Then he was jerked forward, reeled to the tree, sucking him into the darkness within. He hit the trunk hard and braced both hands against it, pushing back to break free. The dark ribbon held him fast and pulled him forward as if meaning to yank him inside. It hurt. The crack in the bark was too thin. He couldn't fit. He would be shredded to a pulp. Then, with a twist, he felt both inside and out. He was pulled through and in,